So Argentina has just elected its first libertarian president, and freedom lovers from all around the world are waving that Argentinian flag as they believe that Argentina is about to be liberated. But some people are warning that, hang on a minute, our friend Javier actually has some ties to the World Economic Forum. So today we're going to be answering the question, should we be trusting Javier Milei? And we're going to do that by uncovering a 2014 interview that I found of Javier speaking at the World Economic Forum. I've even translated the thing into English for you guys. So we're going to go through that at the end of today's video to come to our conclusion about Javier. But I want to first make the case for why things could just be too good to be true. You know what they say? When things are too good to be true, they sometimes are. And that could be the case with Javier. I mean, at face value, everything he does is absolutely amazing, okay? He takes a chainsaw to all of his rallies, saying that he's going to slash and cut all government spending. He's even named his dogs after some very famous Austrian economists. He's named his dogs Murray after Murray Rothbard and Milton after Milton Friedman. No, that's not a joke. He's got 5 dogs, and 2 of those are very popular Austrian economists. And most of you guys would be familiar with his antics on live TV. He's gone on TV and he's smashed a central bank with a big bat that they made into a piñata for him. He's called inflation theft in a number of different interviews. And Javier Milei and Tucker Carlson almost broke the internet earlier this year when Tucker Carlson flew all the way to Argentina to not only look at how hyperinflation is affecting Argentina, but he interviewed Javier Milei, and that interview got hundreds of millions of views from all around the world.
But Argentina's leaders have destroyed the country by devaluing its national currency. Argentina now has Weimar-like hyperinflation. It takes a brick of bills to buy lunch.
El Estado no crea riqueza, el Estado la destruye. El Estado no puede dar nada porque no produce nada.
You've said that as president of Argentina, you will not do business with China.
So at face value, Javier Milei is just simply too good to be true. He is the freedom-loving president that everyone around the world wants to see. He's so authentic. And what's really interesting, and one of the first reasons why I believe we should be paying a little bit more attention to Javier and how he has essentially become a household name out of nothing, is the fact that he spent $0 on his winning presidential election campaign. Now, this is interesting because his opponent, Sergio Massa, spent millions and millions of dollars on his campaign. For those who don't know, I'm actually living in the capital city of Argentina right now. I've been here for around 2 months. It's a beautiful city, but everywhere you go, the city's ruined with these big billboards and posters of Sergio Massa. They are literally everywhere. There was so much propaganda for Sergio Massa trying to convince the Argentinian people that the 250% inflation they're suffering from, it's good for them. Vote for Massa. Ignore crazy right-wing extremist Javier Milei. And it's really interesting because there is literally absolutely zero advertisements for Javier Milei's presidential election campaign in the country. There's no billboards, there's no posters, there is absolutely nothing for Javier. We were so interested by this that we decided to stalk Javier Milei just a little bit. We decided to book an Airbnb just across the road from where he has been staying for the whole past 2 weeks during this presidential election, okay? So as you can see, we had a phenomenal view of Javier Milei speaking to his massive audience of fans on the night of him winning that presidential election. We went down there on the ground. It was absolutely crazy. Milei's fans were literally ripping up Argentinian peso bills and throwing them in the air, using it as confetti. The people on the ground were very passionate about what Javier Milei is promising to do for his country. Now, this is the interesting part, because some people are making the claim that we should not be trusting Javier Milei. Some people are saying, look, he's on the World Economic Forum website, and that is true. And I did make a video around 2 to 3 months ago when he won the initial primary rounds of his election. And I said, hey, look, he's on the World Economic Forum website. Please, somebody reach out to me. Give me more data. Give me more information. I want to go down this rabbit hole. And I found this 2014 interview of Javier Milei speaking at the World Economic Forum's conference. Now, some people might be new to the channel and they might be scratching their head a little bit and saying, hang on a minute, what's wrong with our elected leaders being from the World Economic Forum? Well, I'd just like to point to a few coincidences for you. Some of the presidents and prime ministers from the countries all around the world with the strictest lockdowns all seem to have very interesting connections with the World Economic Forum. So, of course, we had the Australian Prime Minister listed on the World Economic Forum website. New Zealand's Prime Minister, the lady who said that we, the government, will be your single source of truth, Jacinda Ardern. Guess what? She also went through the World Economic Forum's Young Global Leader program. And then, of course, we have the infamous example of Justin Trudeau, the man who is also linked to the World Economic Forum website. He also did the Young Global Leaders program. And he, of course, is the man who is responsible for closing down the bank accounts of citizens who participated in a quote-unquote freedom convoy, the truckers convoy. And he also implemented some of the most draconian lockdowns and travel limitations in the years 2021, 2022, okay? So again, could be a coincidence, but again, I just like those new people to say, hang on a minute, strange things are happening when your leader is connected to the World Economic Forum. Now, again, I could go down the list. You've got big names from some of the largest corporations around the world, all have connections to the World Economic Forum. I'm not going to bore you guys. I'm just going to say, historically, over the past 3 years, if you have a prime minister or a president connected to the World Economic Forum, typically that leader has not looked after your best interests. They've typically looked after big pharma's best interests. I'm going to leave it there. Don't want to get the video cancelled, but is the same true for Javier? He's listed on the WEF's website. Should we trust him? Well, again, let's go back to this 2014 interview that I've uncovered for you guys. I've translated the most important parts of it into English. Again, this puppy is over 1 hour long, but I found a few very interesting nuggets that I think we should discuss. So in Bitcoin, you'll commonly hear of this phrase, don't trust, verify. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of verification because I've uncovered a 2014 interview that Javier Milei was a part of at the World Economic Forum. So let's start breaking down this 2014 interview. So this interview is around 1 hour, 20 minutes long, and Javier only participated on 2 short occasions. And I want to draw your attention towards this first little soundbite we're going to analyze today. Javier is asked about skill shortages in Argentina. And let's look at the response he gave to this seemingly innocuous question.
Javier is also an academic, a researcher with over 50 papers published. And so I would like for you to share your thoughts as to what are the skills gaps or what are the difficulties that you face in terms of the potential for growing your firm or the rest of the society. Where are the skill shortages?
In general, when one talks about the Argentinian case, there are some issues. For example, the first one has to do with the role of public education. We can say it's of our Minister of Economy. We have an economist who has graduated with honors, but with a Marxist profile. And 4 years ago, the economy has not launched out with the best performances in its history or with the best exchange history. An economy that has to have been growing at 7, 8, or 9% is currently debating on if it's not or if it is in crisis.
So Javier took that question and he used it as an opportunity to take a swipe at Argentina's economics minister, call him a Marxist, and say, why do these Marxists do not understand the fact that we're living through an economic crisis? Okay, that's a pretty big amount of signal, if I do say so myself. But let's take a look at the second little nugget I want to look at that I found interesting in this interview. So Javier, once again, is responding to this question about there being skill shortages in Argentina, and he takes it as an opportunity to call out the education system for brainwashing people into being Marxists and socialists.
We have to consider if the education that we are generating is an education of quality, because you can generate a great university full of Marxists, and when you prepare a Minister of Economy, then it's going to have a different impact to the economy in the country. And in my country, that happens in different levels.
Now, my favorite part of that little 2-minute response from Javier was the little smirk he gave at the very end of just, dropping the mic on stage there. I'll put another picture of it up on screen so you can see him just smirking away because he knows he's just given him a big whack, calling the economic minister in Argentina a socialist and a Marxist. I think that's really interesting. And the second time that Javier spoke, there wasn't really much mentioned. It was pretty much just fluffy. But this is why I always encourage people to do the research, okay? Just because Javier Milei is listed on the World Economic Forum site doesn't necessarily mean that he is associated with this institution in a bad way. This was the only interview I could find of Javier Milei at the World Economic Forum website. I myself have been guilty of at least pointing the finger at Javier and asking some questions. In a video I did around 2 months ago on the channel, I did ask the questions and I said, why is Javier listed on the World Economic Forum website? And I have since uncovered this video, but this video proves that it is very, very important to always verify the information that you find. And I think it's far more consequential to actually look at the things that Javier Milei is saying. He went to the World Economic Forum. He said, my country's run by socialists and Marxists. So that is just about everything noteworthy I think I found about Javier Milei's background. I found some questionable videos of him waving a Ukraine flag and an Israel flag. Not going to comment on either one of those issues. Just thought that would be noteworthy. Some people can do with that information what they would like to do. But again, what do you guys think of Javier Milei? Can we trust Javier Milei? Is Argentina going to become a Bitcoin country? And more importantly, what is it like to live through hyperinflation? Argentina is suffering from 252% inflation right now, and I have been living in Argentina for the past 2 months. So if you want to learn a little bit more about me trying to meet Javier Milei in person and surviving and thriving in hyperinflation with Bitcoin, you can check out the video I recorded on the Money Matters YouTube channel. I'm going to pop a link to that one right there. And if you want to learn a little bit more about Javier Milei's background, on this channel a couple of months ago, we did take a deep dive into the background of Javier. You can find a link to that video right there. And with all that said, hope you guys have a great day and I'll see you all in the next one.